when y'all were in high school or in school, did y'all have people that would
back in the olden days?
Would y'all pin $1 on your shirt and get money all day? That was a thing in my school that I was always terrified to do because I was afraid I'd get like robbed or something.
Like rip your shirt.
Because I wasn't cool. And so, but the cool kids would like pin $1. And then as the day goes on, people would pin more dollars to your shirt.
Those cool kids, like, I don't think that was I think it's maybe a Texas thing, but it definitely wasn't in the Southeast. We didn't do that.
I don't think it was even all Texas. I asked Kristen, she's like, what are you talking about? So
recently, I feel I've seen it more.
Me too. And it's really
you can
sad.
Put your mic a little bit further down since we're on video now. I've
Okay.
adjusted sound so that like your face is not obscured.
Let me get this straight. You could have adjusted sound all this time while I've been basically eating this microphone.
It sounds better when you're eating it, but it looks worse. So
because it just is like half my face.
So you just pull it down a little bit.
Like I have seen that now in current culture. And I just am like, those kids who have so many friends, like they're walking home with $30,000 taped to
you've seen people do it now?
Their clothes. Sure. Yeah. Since moving to Texas.
Oh, okay.
But not growing up.
Yeah. My wife had never seen it. I don't know where it came from, but I didn't do it.
Did you have you've never done that?
I was too scared. I was afraid I was going to get robbed.
Yeah. You're afraid you're going to get robbed?
Do you think I was the cool kid at school? Like,
no, I've never thought that.
Do you think I could walk around with money strapped to my shirt with confidence?
You
No.
have the Rex Kwando training.
No, absolutely not.
Andy
I
would
assume
have.
we're recording right now.
We are,
yeah.
Okay, good.
All right. So, okay. Let's go ahead and...
Wait, are we starting? Like, is this for...
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. No, this is not the starting part. This is the beginning of the show start. Andy can be part of this, but this is what I'm going to start with.
But you do want to start the show.
Silver's really... She keeps
No, this is before the show fodder. This is at the beginning.
She can't handle it. See, look at you on camera right now. I need that mic lower.
It'll pick you up.
Shazam! It looks like it's sticking out of my belly.
No,
Please stop
not.
saying Shazam.
Okay, so here's the deal. Okay, I'm gonna start.
Shiver told you where Shazam came from.
No, we gotta use this stuff.
Oh wow.
I'm just gonna tell you later.
Then
I won't be able to say it here either.
You.
Okay, so are we ready?
You said you're trying to start something. I'm waiting for you.
Well, I'm excited that we're actually here together.
Wait, are you not doing, hey, everybody, welcome to the Almost Amazing? When are we doing that?
I thought we were doing the beginning fodder that becomes before the hey, everybody.
So now you are faking the fodder. You don't even want to use what we did as fodder.
We could use that as fodder.
That's what it is.
Oh, that's your plan. Okay, let's start the show.
Fodder way too much already. That's the place where I think we need to start.
Okay. All right, I'll get started. Hey, everybody. He's got me tickled. Hey. Okay, right.
I was thinking about something from yesterday's podcast.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Almost Amazing Dinner Party. It's exciting to have you here with us today. Thank you for listening to the show. And if my voice is a little off, it's because the microphone is now coming out of my belly because we are trying video today, and I'm just not sure what I feel about it.
I'm not either. That's why it's strong.
I'm obviously going to have to get veneers within the next couple of weeks in order for this to be successful.
Like I said, I don't think the cameras are that nice. I think you'll look fine.
Well, Justin, I'm excited that we actually got the time to be together. Justin came up with a way for me.
A foolproof way to schedule time with me.
He sent me a link in a scheduled time with Justin. So I have been working with this system now a couple of weeks, but let me just tell you, first of all, what Justin did was he put a time restraint where I could not make an interview within 24 hours of the actual interview.
Yes.
Anyone who's listened to this show more than twice knows that I'm literally sometimes asking people to be on the show on my way up to the studio.
Yeah.
So when I finally got my person, less than 24 hours, I was blocked out of even being able to schedule with you.
It special. I had to change it. I changed it to 12 hours.
But here's the next thing. That's my first complaint. So you changed it to 12 hours.
Yeah.
Which I still think is a little bit long.
Really reasonable.
It's like 2:30 in the morning you're going to be getting.
I was hoping more for a 15 minute, but whatever. Then the next thing Justin does is so I was like, well, I can't sign up for a podcast. I guess I'll just sign up for this hang with Justin time.
Yeah, a hangout option.
Where you can hang out with Justin.
Coffee or lunch or something.
Right. So I went ahead with that option. But listen, you have to put in a code for that.
A code?
A code. So I had to type in, I'm going to hang out with Justin for an hour.
Uh-huh.
And so then it sends me this thing to fill out, a security thing, and it emails me a code to put into your So then I'm trying to get a code to hang out with you for our podcast, which you've already declined.
I have no idea what that's
You didn't
about.
know that there was a code?
Maybe it thought you were a robot.
It did say,
It thought you were spamming because you were using it so much and using it so incorrectly. It was like, this is very clearly not a human. So they were sending it to you.
All right. I cannot stand the microphone this far down. So then I finally fill all that out. This is the part where I could not stop laughing. So our admin, I'd tell her, hey, I've got the podcast at this time tomorrow. Let's get it. So she sends
an event request,
a calendar request for everyone to approve. And then Justin texts me finally after this and says, hey, you don't have to do a calendar request and a hang out with me request. It all does it for you. Yeah. And I was like,
I was trying to simplify for you and your office this process. Because previously you could not keep track of when I was available, which I don't blame you for. It's hard to keep track. But you'd constantly be like, are you available Wednesdays? Are you available Wednesdays? I was like, after this time, like constantly. So I was like, there is a calendar now that automatically shows. And you have used it. You found it. And you've clicked around. But
Andy can tell you in my defense, I'm always asking when he's working. And it is literally the same schedule every week.
Yep.
Are you working tonight?
Yes.
Are you working tomorrow night? Are you going to be here?
I'll say this
every day.
Something funny came up in my life the other day. So, on Facebook, which I'm still on Facebook, just because it's like, it's something to look at sometimes. When I'm bored
it's
with
like a yearbook.
It's like a yearbook. It's really where I see my high school friends I don't talk to anymore. So like I was seeing, they show you like the ads or whatever. And it's like, these people like this. So they'll show you an image of something and it's like, here's some of your friends who like this. Have you seen that before?
Yes.
It's like Target.
Yes.
Sonny Darman and so-and-so likes it.
Jennifer got to like a certain brand of
Andy
stuff.
Let me ask this. An ad came up for something that both of you like. You were the first two. It was like Andy Dennis and Jennifer Dennis.
Because he put me as a fan of Pepto-Bismol.
But this is him too.
And My Little Pony.
Something you share. It says Andy Dennis and Jennifer Dennis are both fans of this thing. Y'all were the first two people that it was like, y'all are all in on this thing. Can you fathom what that would be? Can you have any guesses?
Like Diet Coke? Was it fiber?
It was a restaurant.
Oh, it would have had to be Lupe's, maybe?
You have a guess? It was Cheesecake Factory. I was like, wow, that does sound really, because it was like both of you. And I don't know if it was like based on algorithm, like y'all like go there a lot or you talk about it a lot. We are the first two suggestions, but y'all both love Cheesecake Factory.
I don't know if we love it or we've just been there.
I wonder if we had to prove. I'm wondering if we had to like it to get like a 10% coupon. So that we could afford the lunch portion of the cheesecake.
Yeah. Well, there you are. That's my big,
that's awesome.
That's my most recent thing that involved.
No, but literally Andy signed me up as a My Little Pony fan and I was getting friendship tips from ponies.
What's wrong with My Little Ponies?
I enjoyed the fact that Jennifer would always leave her laptop open and I would just walk past and there's Facebook. I'm like, what could Jennifer like today? Jennifer likes Pepto-Bismol.
Yes. Wow, that is funny. Because it's going to start showing up on people's pages. Yes.
And then you've been in conversation and somebody be talking about when they were sick and so, and they go, well, I didn't try Pepto-Bismol. I know that's what you like. And I'm like, why would you say that? I know that's what you take because you're really public about it. Oh yes, When Calls the Heart. On Hallmark, I've not even seen one episode of that. And it was like, oh yeah, I saw you're a fan of that on Facebook. I'm like, I am not a fan of that show, although it may be a great show. I don't know.
I've never seen anything about it.
So you guys already know who the guest is today. Now that we're doing it video, I don't know how we're going to put all this together.
Surprise, Andy Dennis is here.
The voice in the corner.
The most of our audience is going to be audio anyway for a long time.
For a long time.
This is just
my mom might watch this.
Experimental to see what it's like. You really
Why'd you cradle the microphone and pull it down?
She kind of does this. What's being exposed is how she does it all the time. She's always pushing her mic up and down and around. Like she can't leave it.
Can't. It's like it has a lot
needs
of.
To be lower.
So you guys have already kind of figured out who my guest is for today. I'm pretty excited. As you know, he's my favorite guest of all time. Husband. I just want to introduce husband. Father, Baptist student director at Rice University in the Texas Medical Center.
Beautiful.
Andrew Michael Dennis.
Michael. Wow.
He goes by Andy most days. Welcome.
Coffee shops know me as Andrew.
Really? Why is that better than Andy?
They can't pronounce Andy. Or they don't hear it correctly. It's always Annie or Amy.
Oh.
Annie, Any, or I even tried Dennis, and that comes out Denise.
But you have one of those great names that evolve.
So everybody's like Denise, and I'm sitting there waiting. For
You have a name that evolves that if you wanted to ever go by Andrew, it'd be totally acceptable. Like you have like, oh, it's Andy. Could start out young, and then if you want to graduate up to Andrew, you're welcome to do that. Yes. I don't know if you're ever going to get to that point.
I don't know if you'd move into the Drew zone.
Because then you do loop back around when you're like 75, where Andy is cool again, like Andy Griffith show. So, like,
did you ever think about going by Drew? That's another Andrew.
Oh, a great iteration. Yes, you could be Andy as a child, Drew as a high schooler, and then you could graduate into Andrew as an adult.
Yeah, no, I mean, all my like I think it was one of my grandfathers nicknamed me Andy, and
okay.
It stuck, and nobody else called me anything else.
Your name can kind of do that too. My name can't. It's just.
I can't ever probably
I can't go by
Jenny.
Sten or Tin. Like it's Justin. There's no other way around it. But Jennifer, Jenny, Jen, like you've got a lot of options to.
It's funny. Like Jenny Cortez and I, like it's Jenny. Like Jennifer, Jenny, they're completely two different names, even though
two different people. Yeah,
it's really interesting. But I will say, I was going through Chick-fil-A. You know how they always ask you for your name, and I'm always in a hurry, so I'm like trying to find the name that's the fastest to say that they'll be able to write it down and remember it. And that's what I've been working on lately. And
so what is it?
Today I tried Lynn. That wasn't as fast as I thought. I was like, I need to come with a consonant and a real clear follow up, like Mona. Like
Mona.
I was just.
What's wrong with Jennifer? It's just too long.
It's kind of long
because they got to type it in their iPad.
And then there's just like 8 letters. Todd.
Why can't it be JD?
Todd's fast.
Jen.
Yeah, Jen's good. I may just try Jen. I may try Jen, Todd, Bob. I was really just thinking about how to shorten that up.
Trying to be, they're already so fast. Like, why are you trying to? Like, they don't need your help.
They don't need any of my
Chick-fil-A. They haven't.
Don't try to next level that. So anyway, okay, I've brought Andy here to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about
Drew.
Drew. We're going to talk about some things going on with Rice University in the spring semester and how they're continuing to get the name of Jesus Christ out onto Rice campus and the Texas Medical Center. But I wanted Andy.
My text message said that was not part of what you said to talk about.
Stuff.
Right, but I want to I want to spend some time talking about what Christ is doing and some of the stories.
Yeah. Give Jesus a shout out.
I did. Don't say it like that. I really do. But so I called you two together, and I called you together on purpose because I wanted to talk about, because you guys are best friends. Your Justin, as you made clear, Andy is your
mentor. Everything I know about ministry and life, I learned from Andy Dennis.
So I really am moving this thing around a lot.
A lot.
So
wait till you see the video.
This is really interesting because I sent you guys this article.
Yes.
You guys have been kind of looking over it, and it is an updated list of modern kind of like rules for etiquette. Yeah. Do you know how to behave? Are you sure how to text, tip, ghost, host, and generally exist today in polite society today? Exist in a polite society today. So I thought we would look over it.
Can you credit where the article's from so we're not accused of plagiarism?
Sure. It's called The Cut. It came out February 2nd, 2023.
There we go.
And some of these we're going to just kind of, blow through.
Full disclosure. I did not look at this until 3 minutes ago. And I was like, oh, this will be easy. There are 140 items on this article.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a quick thing.
Take an hour to peruse this list if you're planning on reading it on your own.
You cannot do it right before you go on a podcast.
I think what we can do.
I'm fully aware Jennifer hasn't read.
Andy's read I haven't read the whole article. That probably is on the etiquette of.
I'm about
you're gonna
90.
If you're gonna have a show about an article, like read the whole thing. But I thought this would be a great conversation about
short documentaries. Kind of got you started.
Like number 135 is like, do not be a Christian at all costs. It's the worst or something. And you're like advocating this article.
Yeah, we're not going to go over that. So if there's something really weird or off in this article, I haven't fully read it.
I'll cut it
but
out.
I do think it's really interesting to talk about some of these things that we don't have updated etiquette for.
Sure.
So one of my favorites, and I kind of like this, is number 2. Obviously, I've
did not make it very far.
Okay.
List.
Great.
Number 2 is you may callously cancel almost any plans until 2 p.m. And I thought that is great.
Can you describe what that means? Like anything that happens before 2 p.m. you can cancel whenever you want?
No, I'm saying that if you have plans to do something with someone like a Friday night.
Oh, whoa.
Y'all are, but I think that the caveat is if they're going to make you dinner, then they've already bought the groceries, and that's very unkind. They probably already started on something.
It's a real intimate friendship if they're making you dinner. So I doubt that
you're going to cancel on that.
Yeah, I don't.
But it's like if you're going to grab dinner, whatever, you can cancel up till 2 now.
Yeah,
and it's not considered rude.
What was previous?
I think
24 hours, maybe.
I always thought 24 hours have to be the day before.
Huh.
And I mean, and even in that, you'd have to give them some really incredible excuse.
Really?
Well, even
usually medical.
Even on their own list, it says you can still use COVID to get out of stuff.
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah.
Not in Texas.
Well, we live in Houston. People are still concerned.
That's true.
Lots
That's
of medical
true.
folks.
So I'm looking through some of these. Now, how about this? This one is going out to my mom. Never wake up your significant other on purpose. My mom is a very light sleeper. So for her, it's not a big deal for someone to wake her up because it's simple to get in and out of sleep.
This seems really like, of course, why would you? Like, why would I just wake up my wife? Like, what would be the purpose other than a fire?
Andy is looking at me like,
do you wake Andy
I wake
up
you
often?
up on the regular?
On purpose?
Remember, like if I fall asleep first, it's often a lot of times, hey, don't go to sleep. I've got some other stuff to talk about.
Okay.
Wow.
This is
Like there have been multiple times where you've woken me up for some unexpected reason, like in the middle of the night of like, Andy,
did you hear those gunshots?
no,
That's fair.
it's like, Andy, I can't sleep. I have some thoughts running through my head. Can I just get them out?
Oh my gosh. That's what my daughter does to me. I can't sleep. It's like, go to bed. You talking to me, they're going to make you go to sleep.
It's more like I'm kind of tossing, I'm kind of turning, I can't sleep. And then Andy's like, what's going what's going on?
That's wild to me. I've
like,
never
I have
once
some anxiety.
thought to do
Can we
that to my
talk through
wife.
it? And he's like, sure, I'll face this way. And why don't you tell the back of my head? That's literally what you'll say. Okay, we're moving on. Here's what I think is great. If someone starts, this is my team. They need to hear this show just for this moment.
Okay.
If someone
I'll make this a TikTok, so they'll watch this.
If someone starts telling you a story you've heard before, you have 2 seconds to tell them. 2 seconds.
Until you have to like sit through the whole thing again?
Yeah, until you listen through the whole story and say, I think you've already told me that.
Oh, so if you
just
don't
have
make
2 seconds to say, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, that was so funny.
Oh,
but if they get rolling and you're 10 minutes in, and then you're like, oh yeah, you've heard this. You can't do that. You have a very short window and it closes in 2 seconds.
I think that's fine.
Do you think I think that's really short. All right. Let's see. And if you're in a larger group, you just have to live through it again. You can't cut them off in the middle of the crowd.
Oh no, of course not, because not everyone's heard the story. Yeah. You can do that.
All right. Let's see. All right. This is one of my favorite ones.
Reading the article
as we go.
It's good. I've gotten further down. Do you want some other ones?
No, I just want to tell you one more funny one that I like.
So number 3 is one of the funny ones.
This is number 11.
Oh, number 11. Okay.
When another human is present, don't talk to your animal in the private voice you use when you're alone together with your animal.
Other than family, I'm assuming. Like family kind of knows.
Yeah, if you have somebody over. But is it rude to talk to your animal in a different voice? Is that weird?
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's an uncomfortable thing. It's not a rudeness issue. Yeah. That's really uncomfortable to watch you talk to your dog. Like
don't make them feel awkward. Yeah.
An infant.
Yeah.
So you guys think that's totally reasonable?
I got a question.
Talk your dog? Yeah.
Between your previous dog, rest in peace, and your new dog, did your voice change that you spoke to your dog with?
Oh yeah. Yes. I think
how so?
I think our voice for our first dog was reverence and love and appreciation. And our new dog, it's a lot of, we're about to call the police on you. And an angry, how dare you do that?
Wow.
She says these things, but every morning that thing climbs in bed. Oh, look at you. You're so sweet.
So starts the morning strong.
And Justin, you'll never get to hear that voice because that's my private voice.
Excellent.
For the dog.
I'm happy.
Okay, Andy, let's hear some of yours. We'll call them hits and misses, the ones we agree with and don't.
Well, I think good news for your podcast. It's actually great to talk about the weather.
That's good news.
Long-term listeners will know we talk about the weather too much.
Yeah, there's a lot of weather because it's been like 60, 80 degrees here in January.
It's perfect. The weather's beautiful today.
It is a great day.
Let me just say, living in a town where it starts up at 40 and finishes up at 80, it's a lot of weather talk.
Yes. I will say this about weather though. And I said this before.
Here we go.
Every single place.
Lifted the
I knew
door.
what I wanted to do.
Every single place has weird weather. It's just like
Everybody thinks their weather's
people think
weird.
their weather is so unique and weird, but just weather is unpredictable.
I wonder if there's a place that really does have really weird weather where they're like, this is really weird.
Are we saying weird, or are we just saying, is there a place that has the same weather every day?
Maybe sporadic, unexpected.
That would be really unusual, right?
Yeah.
If it was all days the same.
Maybe so. Maybe the consistency would be the weird thing.
Don't address 2 or more women as ladies.
Oh,
that's a thing.
That's what it says.
what would you say instead?
It's oddly creepy when it comes from a man, and in other contexts, it reads as an unnecessary attempt to feign some sort of unity or connection between women.
So what would you say? Hello, people.
Hey,
Hello,
folks.
Snickerdoodles.
Oh, I say friends a lot. I say friends to
Friendly
everybody.
and delicious.
Hey, Kit Kats.
Oh my gosh.
You're just coming up with random
Chicken
food.
nuggets.
I wouldn't do
What's
chicken
the- I was-
nuggets.
That's not even the worst thing you just said.
We can go straight to that. I don't
I
know.
say hey friends a
Hey,
lot. I
folks.
say
You
hey
do friends.
Cool cats.
Cool cats is always good.
Hey,
I think once you say cool
ladies.
cats, though, I think you've got a plethora of dad jokes prepared.
Hello, coworkers.
Ready to go.
Hello, acquaintances.
Hello, people.
Hello, fellow humans.
Hello, non-gender specific.
Okay, what else?
people.
What have you got that you stood out to you in the rest of the 75 of these?
This one I have a problem with. I disagree with their etiquette. Don't feel bad about standing up in the aisle immediately upon the plane landing. Like people that have to jump up and be the first one out, you're going to have to wait 10 more minutes before they unload the front of the plane. Why do you need to jump into the aisle immediately the second those wheels touch the ground?
Maybe their legs need to be stretched. Like maybe that's the thing is they're just so ready to have their legs stretched out. It's hard for me to blame them on that.
But on a flight from Houston to Dallas?
Okay, maybe that's not.
I know that's tough.
I mean, I like them more
I
than
know y'all are reading the article as we're going.
I like
so,
them.
Yeah, I would
I
prefer
think
more.
we're going to definitely not
I'm
put
trying
this
to
video
I would
on.
actually like some
trying
some
to say
sort of
something.
response.
We're trying to
but-
look reflective, Andy.
No,
No.
you're not. You're looking like you're looking at your
I
phone. These people out here are going to see that.
I prefer the people who
They're gonna
stand up
see
over the people who clap. I'd rather you stand up as soon as we land
Let me
than
tell you,
clap
often
when
does
we
that
land.
happen?
I'm going to tell you who the people are. It depends on where you are on the plane.
Yeah.
Because if you're on the inside seat and I'm sitting on the aisle and you're already standing up and you're trying to reach around my face to get your luggage down to only pop me in the shoulder and hit me I'm like, you're not getting out of here.
Well,
until
I would say I've never had that happen to me. I would say the person in the aisle sets the tone.
Right. I would agree.
Usually, if that person doesn't stand up, the other two don't stand up. So it's really,
Obviously.
yeah, because it'd be chaotic. Like what you just said, I cannot believe this ever happened to you, where you've been on the aisle sitting down and the middle stranger stood up immediately.
It happened.
That's happened to you?
That has happened. Let me just say this too.
Yeah.
That is why I sit in the aisle now. I used to be a window person.
Oh, no way.
But I'm aisle because I want control of when I get out of that plane.
Yeah.
And I'm always on the inside of the plane and someone's decided, we're just going to let everybody go. And they sit there until
What? They
they-
let rows behind
they
them
let
go?
I'm just
No,
going to let
they're
everybody go.
They're not letting everyone go. They're letting all the jerks behind them who jumped into the
Yes.
aisle go.
Yes.
They don't have a choice. They
Oh,
can't stay because
okay.
Well,
People
they
have already
decide,
crowded
I'm
into the
going
aisle.
Have to
to.
elbow your way in, yeah.
People have
And
already
I'm-
crowded
I'm
out.
like, what are you
and so
doing?
You're just
That's our
sitting there.
end. Get out.
I will say this. I went on a plane to Belize and they unloaded the front and the back. I was like, this is brilliant. Why are we not doing this?
The people
Where
are
do
in the
we
middle,
go?
in the middle, like, I wish we'd known this was going to happen.
Like, it was wild, but like, it was so fast.
I've never been on the plane.
because you
They-
get right off the tarmac and go down.
Yeah, I feel
Right.
Like that's more.
Yeah.
I've only done that maybe once or twice.
It was incredible. I felt like a movie star, which is weird because like in the old time movies, like they walk our rich people walk out of movies or planes on the stairs, like onto the tarmac. Like I felt like a celebrity when that happened.
That's cool.
It was incredible.
It's
Yeah.
good. Okay, so I don't know what they mean by don't go into a phone vortex at dinner.
It means staring at your phone and looking
Oh.
at TikTok while people.
Well, thankfully, I'm not.
at a
I
dinner
don't fall
party.
into that vortex trap. Usually, I really don't. Do you?
I'm not.
I think that's probably written from more like a younger audience than
Who just unashamedly goes to their phone all the time.
yeah, or who just you just don't think about it, right?
I guess. I mean, I see people my age on dates on their phones. I see old people on their phones too on dates, like old married couples.
Now, there's some on here that I find really helpful. For example, if you're number 76,
Ooh,
I've made it down to
cranking
76.
Wow.
Wow, yeah, you did scan a lot while I was talking. That's good.
If your host is doing the dishes, it means you're supposed to leave. I did not know that was a cue. I wish I'd known that about 15 years ago.
I don't think anybody knows it's a cue because I would do it pretty quick if I knew.
So that's saying that is a cue to like.
So our cue
is it saying
They're
it?
just unloading the dishwasher
But
in front of you.
Is it saying it as a recommendation for the host though? Like, hey host, you should know if you start.
It says if your host is doing the dishes, it means you're supposed to leave.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Supposed
I just didn't know that was a thing. I didn't realize it.
I don't have people at my house that much to know that. I'm thinking like Thanksgiving, so it doesn't apply. Like Thanksgiving, you start doing dishes pretty quickly to get it over with, but then you hang out more. So.
Sure.
Yeah,
okay. What have you found some, Andy?
Tipping rules. That's the one where I'm really, since COVID, I've really.
Hey, let's really talk about this.
Lost my footing on when and how much and who to tip. I just really have. It's gone overboard, and I don't mind tipping because I think it's necessary, especially at restaurants where people are not making as much. And during COVID, I was way over the
Yes,
top.
it's like we're all coming together. Let's help these guys.
Yeah, because there were so many restaurant workers who were getting laid off and didn't have. And so I felt really, I wanted to make sure we were, I was the community hero all of a sudden of like over tipping. And now I'm back in person, and now it's difficult to have those same rules in place because I want to be generous. I don't get me wrong. I do try to be generous in tipping, give more than the minimum. But man, when somebody's just putting a cup of coffee in my hand from 7-Eleven, like I don't know that.
Yeah, there's a.
So what is the tipping? Like, what's the etiquette say?
Well, there's like bunches of them. Restaurants, it's now 20. It used to be 15 to 20. Now it's 20 to 25.
Sure.
Coffee shops, at least 20%. And if your order is only coffee, then you can just pay $1, give $1 tip. And I think that's pretty fair too. Like if you're just getting drip coffee, you can throw $1 in the jar. I think that's a fair thing.
Does it say about counter service?
I'm looking down. Food delivery, a minimum tip of 5 or 20%, whichever is bigger. Picking up takeout, 10%.
Oh, that's good to know.
10% if you're good.
I think I'm going to overtake.
If you're at a food counter, 10%.
I feel like it should be no percent.
And Uber drivers and everything else, 20%.
I'm not going to say the place, but I will say that there's a restaurant. It is a drive-through window. It's donuts, and they pull out the thing for you to tip in a drive-through.
Yeah, I saw something on this too with the new iPad stuff you pay with. They make it hard to find the no tip or custom tip things, so people just kind of like. And it's so big, you feel like people over your shoulder are watching you, so you don't want to be cheap. So they are trying to trick people into tipping more. So to me, that deceptive part makes me not want to do it even more when I'm on an iPad.
Well, the other thing that I've read recently or I've heard is that some of the larger companies that are doing it, like national corporations, the tips that you give don't necessarily go to the workers; they go back to the company. So whatever, like this is coming from workers in those places saying that if you are tipping on that iPad, then generally that's probably going straight to the corporation. It's not going.
How do you know that then?
I guess we could ask.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to where I'm doing customer no tip on counter service. I'm like, listen, guys.
But if you do but if I put $1 in the jar, I know that's not going to the corporation. Mm-hmm. I know it's going to whoever's giving me counter service at that particular place.
Sure.
But why does counter service need a tip? I don't understand.
I don't know, man.
They're getting paid.
Well, we're tipping now.
Like tipping for waitresses waiters used to be because they weren't getting a full-time minimum wage.
Right.
Like it was to make up for that part of it.
Yes.
In my head, I'm thinking Chipotle is getting paid $14 an hour, maybe 12, maybe less, whatever. But like they're getting the standard, like payment.
I don't think
And
I've
so
ever
to
tipped at
me,
Chipotle.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
I haven't gotten a tipping at the counter yet.
But
Now
I
that-
wonder, I think that needs to be, I think you want to ask, like, if I tip here, does that go to you or does it go to
yeah, that's fair.
So our
to
next,
Joe Chipotle?
Joe- yes.
I hope his name is Joe Chipotle.
then they call him Joe Pole for short.
Chipotle.
Okay.
No way.
Joe Po.
Why did
All
you
right,
do
number
that?
94. It's okay to email, text, or DM anyone at any hour.
Oh, man.
You've had this question
We have
specifically.
talked
Did it
specifically
say
about
text?
this.
Did I just say
Even
text?
text, yes, because it is our responsibility
To
to-
silence our phones.
to silence or figure
Okay.
out our schedule with our phones.
Text just still feels so intimate to me, and maybe that's wrong. Like email, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But
Yeah.
like text message to me is very intimate, and I'm like, gosh, it's
Right.
if
And
you wouldn't
emailing
talk
used to not be that way.
If you wouldn't talk to me at 10 p.m., you shouldn't text me at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel. Like my brother, yeah, text me at 10 p.m. You're my brother, you know. Like, but a coworker be like, oh, we're not friends like that. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to talk to you that way.
Well, and I think too, like
Jennifer?
until we transition into this, I think it's still kind of safe to, because here's the deal, like someone's got to be able to get a hold of us at 2 a.m. if something bad happens to family or
But that's not what this is talking
I
about.
know, but
Yeah.
I worry about that. Like this is what I'm concerned. If we set our whole lives on do not disturb,
But
you can
oh.
get
If they're
through.
your favorites, if they're set on your favorite
Oh, they can
list,
break through.
you can get through.
Oh.
And of course, if your daughter's out, you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like if she's not home, you're not going to
Sure.
set your phone to silent because, you know, the
Sure.
cops or the EMS
well,
may need
Andy
to call
would,
you.
but I wouldn't.
You would? When your
No.
daughter's out of the house?
She's on my favorites list. It gets through the do not disturb.
Andy
But let's
said-
say she was in a car accident and, well, I guess they'd still use her phone.
Yeah.
There's no way they'd know your phone number. It'd still be through her phone. So you're right. You're right.
Yeah. I put the do not disturb on. I don't know. It's fine. It's the world we live in, but
I sleep
Man,
through it anyway.
it's-
I know a text will not wake me up because my phone is face down on the ground on silent. Like it's not going to wake me up.
Yeah.
So I don't really care.
All right, moving on. 102. You can eat
Okay.
anything at your desk in an open plan office. Ugh.
anything.
Anything at your desk in an open plan office. And that is the rule. They said people don't like it, they can leave.
Leave where?
I
They
don't
share
know.
a space with you.
I don't know.
Even like smelly food.
Fish
what's saying.
stuff, asparagus.
Who is this person that's
Brussels
making
sprouts.
these statements? How?
I don't know.
Where did they get their
They
authority
obviously live in New York. I
I
mean, they
guess
talk about
so.
subways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
but
Right, but right?
I'd be afraid of offending people with smelly food.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
positive one I saw that I like is that I actually fought the urge for yesterday. I don't know why. It says if you like somebody that you just hung out with, like a friend, within 3 hours, you should text them and say, hey man, it's great catching up. It's great
Yeah.
hanging out.
Yeah.
And I hung out with somebody yesterday and I had that inclination. I was like, is that weird to say, hey, I had fun today. I'm glad we got to catch up. And now I see that I should have done it. So,
Yeah.
but now it's a full 24 hours later. So I guess like,
Okay, how about
now I
this?
just look like a
Can't do it
creep.
now, yeah.
Number 110.
I've
I was
been
just
thinking-
I was thinking about
I've been thinking
our
about it
time
for the
together
whole day,
yesterday,
24 hours, how great it was hanging out.
and I
So-
need to tell you.
I missed my window.
Number 110. Saw someone shoplifting? No, you didn't. How about that? We can no longer turn in people for shoplifting.
Well, I think
I do.
even stores don't do anything anymore because
I
they're
put
like
them
it's
under
not
citizen's
worth the law.
arrest. I'm like, you stop that right there.
Yeah. When's the last time you saw
You
someone steal
put back
something?
those fluffy socks. I'm going to get someone.
Have you legitimately seen somebody steal something from a store?
No.
Oh my gosh. I was at,
You have?
oh yeah, 100%. I was at a,
I feel like I'm yelling in
like
this microphone.
you are, and the mic is right by your face. Like I'm watching the levels over there and you're like huge and me and Andy are way low.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is I was at a store like it was like a nice shopping center. It's called the Domain in Austin. And so it's not a mall. It's one of those open shopping centers where every door goes to the parking lot. Like you're just right by the parking lot. And so I walked into this store and then someone just full sprint past me out the door in a car and the car drove away. I was like, whoa. Like it was, I didn't know what they stole, but they were set to do it. Like it was, they ran as fast as possible to a
Getaway
car that was
car.
waiting. And they peeled out.
Man.
And I was like, whoa, no one stood a chance with that.
Uh-uh,
So I don't know
no.
what they took, but I've seen it happen. And I
Like
was,
my mic just slowly.
I had no intention of saying, hey, you stop. I was like, see ya. I think I held the door open. I don't know.
Nothing in that store is worth
You
your
were an
life.
accomplice. You were an accomplice in their thievery.
All right. Here
Don't
we go.
don't help a stranger parallel park. I think that's pretty good.
Oh, yes. Like, give them privacy. Pretend it's not happening. Just
Yeah.
keep walking. No one needs that
Our
audience.
poor neighbors are always trying to back in their garage, and I always feel obligated to help them.
So the same garage that she just like sideswiped with her car.
Can I just
Is
say,
it the same style?
That's
Yeah.
I only hit my own garage. It's one of the ways I'm kind of people. Here's one interesting to me. But is your kid doing algebra in second grade, reading at 3.5, whatever, selectively share? I think it's really frustrating when friends want to drop all of these like brags on you about how well their kid's doing. And then you'll tell them like maybe somehow your kid's struggling and they're like, oh, so we've got the opposite problem.
Yeah.
Our kid's already reading the encyclopedia for fun. And, my worry is like, are they getting enough social?
Yeah. I think other than family, like, of course, grandma wants to hear how great your kids are doing. Like you want to brag on, say, hey, she's reading at this level. Yeah, I would agree with that. But let me ask this. Can you brag on yourself? Like if you're doing something great, can you talk about it? Or can we just not talk about things that are good?
I think it depends on what it is.
I made this awesome TikTok.
Yeah. This is incredible.
I think that's a great question. If you're doing something great yourself, I think you know who you can share with.
I guess.
And I feel like you kind of instinctively know in your life.
Define the level of
when you walk away, they're like.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I don't know the difference between bragging and like celebrating something that you're excited about.
Well, and I think that comes back to the crowd, right?
Maybe.
So I guess people think a lot of me. Like
they
they're
brag
like,
to you all the time?
obviously she's going to be cheering me on.
Yeah. I would say you are a cheerleader, a very good cheerleader for things that are going on in people's lives.
Oh, sure.
I mean, 100%. Like it is a gift that you have.
I'm usually always pumped for everyone else's
The
success.
opposite of me. Like
you don't feel like you're that way?
Do you think I'm that way?
I think you're wondering how someone got that.
I'm like, hey, how'd you get to that point?
You're like, I never would have guessed that.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't seem to make sense.
No, it's not.
I think the kid thing, especially, I know that, having kids, I think there's a lot of times where you don't know where other people are struggling. Mm-hmm. So their kids may be struggling in some ways that you don't see or know.
Sure.
So being able, talking about that stuff makes them feel even worse about maybe I'm just a bad parent. That's why all of this stuff is happening. I think your good parent TikTok, and the positive parenting stuff, I think is really helpful in that. But I think a lot of times we get caught up in the rat race of trying to one up everybody.
Let everybody know you're kind of winning.
That's so funny because I don't feel that at all for me personally. Like I don't feel this need to show off how great my kids or my parenting is. I think I'm fine. Like I don't feel like I'm bad at it, but I'm not like I need to make sure people know I'm awesome at this.
Well, you have to begin by caring what other people think.
Yeah. That's fair.
Because you don't have that.
I don't care positive or negative.
So then you're just blatantly honest.
That's true.
That's fair.
I didn't care as much, but I watched how it affected Jennifer.
Oh, for sure.
More than I cared about what people thought.
Listen, this is an aside, Jennifer. You're trying to I don't know if you're trying, but you're working on TikTok and trying to get more people following you. I think God might be protecting you a little bit because I had a post last week that just had some really hateful stuff said to me. And I was like, But I was like, if this had been Jennifer or my wife or somebody else who feels things differently, it would have consumed you for a month.
Ooh.
I think God might be protecting you a little bit because it's not always great out there when you get a video with a bunch of views. I've had some really hard pushback on some videos. I'm like, y'all need to chill out. This is mean. And I was thinking man, if Jennifer ever makes it to this point, will this kill her? Will this sort of feedback crush her?
Yeah, possibly. So, easily. This one, 122 goes along with, and we can wrap up this talk soon. I know we've talked a lot about this.
A lot of, there's some other ones right above that.
How many are there?
Well, let Andy give one.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think when you have little kids, I know that this is a family podcast. This is, be clear about what kind of birthday party you're hosting. Are you feeding them? Or am I the parent supposed to stay? Can siblings come? Is it a no gift party? All of those things happen, and you find yourself in this situation where, oh no, we're donating books. And you've brought the frozen Lego set, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yes,
and that's hard. You feel bad if and then you think, oh, they're getting pizza at the party, and then you 5 hours later, your kid's like, I only had Cheez-Its. I
will say, in the group of moms I've been in, I think in our community, they're very, very specific in
Yeah.
birthday parties in general, usually.
I'd say, yeah.
Play dates, not so much.
I'd say, but I will say, my wife, we had a date night a couple weeks ago, and she was like, "Can we stop by this kid's class party, or this kid in my class, their birthday party?" I was like, "This is what you want to do?" I was like, "All right." So I'm going to get some points for this. So we stopped by this little girl's house. She was having like not even a slumber party, but it was like a late night movie party, or whatever. So we stopped by, and Kristen's introduced me to all the kids in her class, the girls anyway, and she's so excited. And there's like one random girl that's just like sitting by herself, and I was like, "Who's that?" It's like, oh, that's that girl's older sister. And apparently the mom just like brought both of them and said, "Here are my kids." Like, and I just thought that was such a foreign thing to me. Like, I would never assume an older sibling is welcome at a party that way. I assume the other. Like,
Sure.
I'm always shocked when there's siblings. I'm like, oh, I didn't know I could bring my other kid. Like, I just assumed this was just for Maggie.
I would have totally brought my other kid.
But yeah, but like this mom, and it was like at someone's house, like kind of a pseudo slumber party. Is like, hey, here's this 3-year older girl that is also in this party that wasn't invited. Huh. And I was like, that blew my mind. I was like, I would have never done that. I would have never just like assumed I could bring a second kid to a party like that. Yeah.
Right. I feel like you would have to get that cleared, but
she just said, "Here, my kids. See you later."
Well, that might be the last party.
Maybe I should start doing that though. Just play dumb. Be like, "Oh, I thought everybody could come."
Then Maggie will be like, "I haven't been invited to a party in a year." All right. Looking on down the list, are there more that you want to bring up? Or Justin, I think you completely pulled out of the entire list.
I found them. I was looking at my phone. I wasn't engaging. So I was like, I'm going to let them do that.
I will speak back to the ones that I'm hearing. Yeah. It also, I thought it was interesting on the party thing where it said, if it says don't bring a gift, you still bring a gift.
It said that?
Yes.
That's ridiculous. Absolutely not.
I think grown-up people, like adults that are like, don't bring gifts, like I'm okay with that. But yeah, it says if they say don't bring a gift, you still bring a gift.
Because if I said that, I mean it. I was like, for my daughter, I was like, we do not want presents at this party. Do not bring a present.
I think there's a misconception about who would say no gifts, please. Like, oh, y'all don't have to bring a gift. Here's the registry. Like,
no. Mine, if I say no gifts, I mean it. And this was the first year we had.
So if someone brought gifts, you'd be mad. Like, why'd you bring a gift? You would be. You'd be irritated.
But we still take them. But then it makes other people feel bad that follow the rule.
Oh, they brought a gift? Yeah. I didn't know we could do that.
Yeah.
I think it's a little risky saying no gift.
Last year we did no gifts and it was fine. Still 1 or 2 people brought gifts, but it's a very
they weren't invited back.
Gifts are a very subtle thing now at birthday parties anyway. You don't open them up in front of everybody. You just kind of take them and put them to the side, and then you kind of all look at them later. So.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask something. This is actually moving on from the etiquette list and into the actually Christian etiquette world, because I think that since like being able to share your faith, because we are in this space of politics are so weird, belief systems are so touchy. Like, how do you bring up that you're a believer, that you're Christian in some of these groups without it making everything awkward? Like, how do you, in this current state, talk about your faith to people? Bring it up. Have it be part of the conversation.
That's a hard question for each of us, because so quickly when you meet a stranger, they ask you what you do for a living, and you're immediately like, I work at a church, or I work at a Christian, it's such like
I don't work at a Christian university.
I mean, you work at a Christian organization, parachurch organization.
Yeah. I try to, I think about that a lot, because when people ask me on the plane, like, what do you do? It's like, I could talk about being in education, and they're like, oh, really? What do you do there? I'm like, how kids are trying to figure out how to live their lives and, to find spiritual meaning. And they say, yeah. And I say, well, that's what I do. I help people to find the kind of spiritual meaning and what kind of lives they want to live.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of like, not necessarily always telling your role, but like trying to nuance it a little bit in the way of saying, here's, how people are always trying to do this, and then they're like, yeah, well, that's what I like to do. I like to help children. I like to help children discover faith, or I like to.
What I like about that, what I do like about that is if you have misconceptions in your brain or kind of an archetype that defines what this person does, and you use that same language, then a lot of times people will immediately be like, oh, okay, you're this. And they kind of just define it for you based on what they assume over time. And this allows a doorway to seeing what you do through a new lens. So I really do like that.
So for us, that works. For someone who doesn't have a Christian job, though, like for someone who is a lawyer or a teacher or
do you think
bringing up their faith?
Right. In fact, I'm talking to a group of students tonight about how to live out your faith in a job, like day to day.
So you're asking us to write your
mostly, yeah. I thought we could go ahead and go over that. But I was thinking about how people are like, well, I have a little cross on my computer, or I leave my Bible out, so they'll try a symbol. And I guess it's trying to like have those conversations with people without there being walls put up so quickly, because I was just wondering what you guys
I think the first thing you have to do is convince younger Christians that they even should share their faith. I think more and more they're not looking at it as a core tenet of who they are in Christ, is to share what they believe. Like more and more, that is so much lower, which is so wild to me, that they are anti-evangelism in more and more, but still love Jesus, but still are like, Jesus is my life. He's everything for me. But like evangelism is something they don't feel as part of the role as a Christian. And I'm just like, so you have to convince them that first. Don't tell them how to do it. You got to tell them why they should be doing it first and foremost, which I don't think is happening enough. Like,
do you see that as well, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it too. But I saw a statistic the other day that only somewhere between 10 and 20% have ever been taught how to share their faith of Gen Zers. Yeah. So there's a little lack.
That is a low.
That's not on the students.
That's of students who are believers. Only 10 to 15% have been taught how to share their faith.
I want to say it's closer to 20%, but don't quote me. I had an article come through my mailbox and I didn't.
He read the headline.
I did. TLDR.
He should have just forwarded it to us. We could have read it on the show TLDR, like we have everything else.
Yeah, we could have read it as we did the show.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a very low percentage. Like at least 1 out of 5 Gen Zers, people who are in that college, the high school range, haven't ever been taught how to share their faith, let alone why it's important. But the mechanics of how to do it, I think, is part of that too. I think most of us, like, there's a great book called I Once Was Lost by, I forget the authors off the top of my head, but he talks about like the 5 thresholds you have to cross. And the first one is trust a Christian. And I think that's where a lot of us have to move into spaces of, do our neighbors actually trust a Christian? And that's really the first point that we have to get through, like earning people's trust and then inviting them into conversations to where they're willing to either change their lives or to do something different. Like that has to be our priority. Now we can't just stay there. Once we've earned trust, we need to be able to invite people into spaces where we can have conversations as well.
I think we're missing the motivation piece, though. I think even for me and my generation, I think the motivation to share our faith has waned so much that like our insecurities and fears and kind of culture has pushed us so much that we've just lost the even motivation to do it, which I know is wild for you, who your whole job is to reach dark places with the gospel. So like you've given your life specifically to this role. Mm-hmm. Whereas whether, me, but also like other people my age, like I don't know if they have the motivation to do it. And I don't know how to grow that in myself or others. Like I don't know how to inspire someone other than seeing life change happen in other people. And the problem is, I think more often in our church circles, we're not seeing that same sort of radical life change, because the most life change we see is in children in churches a lot of times, which is great. Children need to come to know Jesus. But Agreed. Like when I'm thinking of just what motivates and inspires people to share their faith is seeing radical life change. And I just don't know if it's happening at the rate it has been or it does in other places.
I just remember growing up with this weight of people in my life and not knowing Jesus. It was like a keep you up at night. I can't sleep. This person doesn't know Christ.
I mean, they did it pretty hardcore in the Baptist church.
It was really hard.
To drive that into you.
It was really like...
But you don't feel that anymore? I mean, you feel it, but it's not that same intensity.
I want to say that's such a great question. Is it that same intensity? Yes, I do believe people. Yes, I'm still intensely committed to seeing people come and know Christ and follow him.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I think that when I was staying up, like not sleeping, it was a guy I was dating. I was,
There's a little more weight to it.
We broke up.
You know, everyone you love dearly is already going to heaven.
He's a full-blown Christian.
Yes.
So yes, the heart and the motivation is still there. Let me just say this. I feel like the culture of leading people to Christ has shifted somewhat since the 80s and 90s.
For sure. I think I have started mentally not kind of veering away from it is because it's this, I am so confident that God is sovereign and in control. And I think I've gone so far into that I'm like, well, I mean, if they're going to be a Christian, God's going to take care of it. And that's probably not the best attitude. But in my head, I'm like,
I didn't want to throw that under the bus, but I do think there's somehow a theological safety net for people that we did not have. I mean,
I think it's wrong to think you can earn somebody's place in heaven. Like, I think where you were raised was, if you don't share your faith, this person is going to hell. And I'm like, whoa, like, that's a lot of weight on a human child. That is not the case.
But that was what we
that's how they motivated you. And what I'm saying is, I think now my generation rejected that, and we're on the other side of it. Is like, it doesn't matter what I do, God's going to do what he wants. And I don't know if that's right either.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, on one side, on one side, it's your friend's eternity hinges on you speaking up about God. On the other side, it's like, there's really nothing I should do. God's going to do what he wants. And I don't know what the middle ground. I mean, I guess it's just the middle ground. Like,
yeah, I don't think, I think that I'm trying to articulate this well. While I do think that God is going to work, I have to know that if we are the ones who were commissioned to share that. And so, one, I would say that the statistics show the older you get, the longer you walk with Jesus, the fewer non-Christians you know. And so if we insulate ourselves in such a way that we don't really have any engagement with non-believers, then it's going to be pretty rare that we ever share our faith. And it's going to get harder for us to do that. Two, I think that if we're not sensitive to the Holy Spirit, then we miss those opportunities where God might use us, which is the extreme of that, where I just think there's so many of us who just ignore those opportunities, or just assume that it's somebody else's job and therefore God's going to convict and draw, but he's also working on both sides of that equation too. So there has to be somebody at some point to verbalize what it means to follow Jesus. Otherwise, they'll just look at us and go, well, that person's a really good person. I wonder if they have any motivation behind it, because I think about the Bible story that I always go to when I'm talking to people about sharing your faith is that, while it's true that Jesus is working on one side of that equation to draw, there's also that motivation that the Holy Spirit is to share, is the Philip and the Ethiopian in the book of Acts, right? It's because the Ethiopians standing there reading the scroll of Isaiah and talking about the Messiah. And then the Holy Spirit speaks very clearly to Philip, like, go and talk to this guy. So Philip runs up to the chariot. It's like, hey, apparently you're reading about Jesus. Well, what can I do to help? He's like, how can I know this person? And it wasn't the Holy Spirit was working on one of them to motivate. It was the Holy Spirit working on both sides to convict the Ethiopian of his sin, but also to convict Philip to go and explain what he was reading, because otherwise he would have just sat there in his confusion.
I love that you brought up obedience, because I do think that's the key piece, is, just being obedient and sensitive to what God calls us to say and to do. I was in the post office a couple of days ago, and then there was this worker, and there's a line. Man, people have been waiting for forever, and she's taking one person at a time. But with each person, she's treating them with incredible kindness. And there was a customer who got an Amazon package. She can't take it back to the post office. She doesn't know what to do. And that person sat there and took time to explain to her. She's like, let me pack this back up for you. You can't bring this back here, but do you know where Whole Foods is? She just went into this whole thing. And she did that with the next customer and the next customer. And no one got mad. We were just all in awe of her kindness and her love. And I get up to her and I was like, wow. I said, it's been so soothing for me to watch how you've treated people in this post office. I said, there are times if you guys wouldn't take it, it'd be like, that doesn't go here. You need to take that back. You need it out. I said, but watching you has been so encouraging. And she said, well, God puts me in these places to serve people and take care of people. Wow. And so she was so loving and so kind that it allowed a doorway for her to tell me that it's because of my relationship with God. Mm-hmm. And so I do think that amount of love and goodness that we show to people. And it says, in the Bible, they will know us by our love. Anyway, so I thought that was a really good leeway into just talking about. So
for your talk tonight, tell kids if they want to share their faith, they should work at the post office.
That's that's exactly what I got out of that whole thing. Get a job with the U.S. government.
Get a really high stress service job.
That's it.
Just pray that the Holy Spirit keeps you even. And gives you the opportunity to share your faith.
So believe it or not, I have a get to know you question to wrap up our show. Andy, thank you for coming in and hanging with us. We'll have you again soon to talk about something else. I thought Andy could be our voice on pop culture or things like that we're discussing.
I would love for you to solidify your ideas for what this podcast is after episode 100. My dream is that Jennifer would land on what this podcast is.
Yep.
Well, we gave parent advice today of birthday parties.
We did.
We talked about families and what to do as an adult and how to share your faith. I think we've encapsulated everything that she wants.
Andy, I think you're like the 95th podcast.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I know. Someone asked me today if I was number 100.
Oh, no, it's not.
I was like,
that means somebody's listening. That made my day. Yeah. All right, ready? What is one thing you remember a friend doing for you that was really good? A good thing that a friend did for you? And I have an answer. So while you guys think about what a friend's done for you, I'm going to tell you a weird friend thing that I had happen to me. Okay. When I was in seminary, I was a little bit older. I hadn't been married. I was a little sad about that. And all my friends were getting engaged. And in seminary, they said that if high school girls are looked over, college girls are picked over, and seminary girls are left over. And so by the time you get to seminary,
people said that to you?
Literally to my face. As I was in seminary.
Yeah, people would say that.
It was kind of a hard
girls' dorm, but they wouldn't. I didn't know anybody would say that.
Yeah, well, you didn't say it, so thank you.
Of course
so and I lived in a dorm that was called Barnard Hall. Of course, they called that the Barnyard.
Barnyard
Hall. Anyway, man. So.
You're not really giving a great.
I was really sad about still being single. And I was moving to a house, and I made a comment to this friend of mine who was kind of helping us move. I said, I kind of hoped when I would be moving to a house, I'd be moving with my husband. And here I am in another single housing situation. And it's just kind of a bummer.
Oh, you're choking up. What'd she say?
No, I have dry mouth.
I thought it was really meaningful. And
this is what she did. She wrote me a letter. He wrote a letter to me from my future husband and told me how proud she was that I was moving into this house.
I would love to know how accurate this is. Yeah. I would love for Andy to read this.
But yeah, let me read it in my voice.
Great job, Jennifer, on your new house.
Hope you can afford the $250 rent because you're splitting it with 8 other people. And so the letter went on about how much I can't wait to meet you, and I'm praying for you every night as well. And it was just
the kindest thing someone's ever done for you.
No, it was just an example of a kind thing, it was just like this whole letter from my future husband.
Wow.
And it was love your future husband. And she sort of like hid it. So I found it at some point. She didn't hand it to me. She just sort of hid it.
My husband writes like a girl.
Why is she circle dotting her eye? Why does he circle dot his eyes? So,
Hard thought about that.
so I didn't find it for like a year and a half because
Yeah.
it's probably in a drawer or something. and I'm
Threw it
not
in your
very.
car.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cold.
Never find it in there.
But I just remember just kind of giggling when I read it.
Yeah.
Like, that was a really interesting thing.
That was a kind thing. Gosh, a kind thing. I mean, it was a word that was said to me that really changed my perspective on parenting that still sticks with me. So it wasn't really something that was done. It was the kindness of saying something.
Hold on, Justin. Jennifer, they're like way back there and you're on camera.
You don't need them.
I can't. Okay,
They're back there.
They're like a whole 3 feet behind you.
Gracious.
Just-
Okay, I'll just go on
You're
without him.
bent
Go ahead,
over
Justin.
the chair and there's a camera on you.
You don't need them. What are you going to read?
We're not going to use this.
She needs them as a prop to flip up and down on her head.
It's true.
They're more of a physical prop she needs now.
Okay.
Than
Well, here we are. Something kind someone did for me it wasn't a thing that they did. It was something they said, but it really helped me. When I was we were expecting our first child, and you shared the news with people before your wife is like really showing that much. It's like you actually have to tell people like, oh, we're expecting or whatever. And over and over and over and over, people, when I said that, would be like, oh, wow, get ready. Your life's over. And I was like, why are you saying that to me? Like, that's like the worst thing you could say to a new parent, to me, in my opinion.
It's just kind of true.
And it wasn't just one person. It was like multiple people. And like, even if it is true, why is that your default? Like,
True.
why is your default
That's
not?
an excellent point.
There's so many cool things coming your way. Yeah, it's going to be hard, but there's so much fun to come. And no one did that until one day I told a guy that was a pastor nearby, and we were working on a project together. Why do you need gum right now? We are landing the plane on this podcast. We are 2 minutes away from being done. Why are you trying to sneak gum?
This is so.
Okay, keep going.
Now we're going to hear you smack for the last 2 minutes of this
I'm not
episode.
smacking. I promise. Go ahead.
Wow.
I told you I have dry mouth.
Oh my gosh. Well,
You're not
even talking anymore.
He's trying to tell this.
We're not going to make it to 100
emotional
episodes.
story.
We're not going to
So
make it.
everybody else has told you that your life is over.
Yes. And he said, when I was telling him, I said, yeah, my wife's expecting. We're pretty, it's our first child. And he goes, isn't that so exciting? And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, aren't you so excited about being a dad? I was like, I am actually. He's like, yeah, it's really, really great. Like it's hard, but there's so much great stuff about it. And I said, thanks for saying that. I'm getting a lot of negative feedback from parents about parenting. And he said, oh, well, those people are selfish. And I was like, oh, wow. He's like, yeah, they can only see the things that they lost when they became a parent. They can't see the good stuff. They're selfish. And I was like, whoa. And so that changed my perspective on parenting. It changed how I respond to people. It changed how I talk about parenting.
Now you're just like, you're selfish.
I'm never unrealistic. Like I never say, yeah, my life is so much easier now. Like, no, it's not easier, but I never land on this is the hard part. Like, because it's true. The further you go, you really forget the bad parts, like you forget the worst parts, kind of like your trips to Disney that you think are awesome after you're done.
I think some people would have to forget the bad parts or we wouldn't have this many people.
Oh, absolutely.
For real.
Absolutely. But it was just really encouraging to have someone say, hey, it's really exciting. You should be excited. And now when someone shares that with me, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exciting. It's great. Yeah, it's hard. It's going to be different. There's going to be things that change, but it really is worth it.
That's cool. Okay, Andy.
All right. I was.
Hey, before you say it, it doesn't have to be something that I did for you.
Okay.
FYI.
Like write that future letter to you.
Right.
You just released him from that pressure.
Just wanted you to know it doesn't have to be something I've done for you.
I saw the weight lift from his shoulders.
I moved one time and got a future letter from my wife.
Oh my gosh. That'd be cool.
That'd be so funny.
That would be great.
David Wiley wrote me a future letter for my
Right.
my old roommates.
Wow.
And all those guys writing me letters like that. That'd be really funny. I think a lot about like when I had the thing that I had a couple of things come to my mind, but I was thinking about when I had heart surgery up in Abilene, and the other student minister who was at the college up there in Abilene at Hardin Simmons, like she brought by all of this stuff and cared for both of us while I was laid up in the hospital, like food. And I think she took care of y'all in the waiting room. Like she visited with y'all in the waiting room, and she brought a book for me that, like John Stewart, like this funny book for me to read and kind of help me heal. But like it was just a meaningful thing that she would think about us during that time when I couldn't do anything, And
We've been married a year, and Andy had double bypass open heart surgery right after our first anniversary.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
He was like 31, 32.
The kindness that they shared, like her and her husband shared with us during that time, was really, really impressive.
It was really great.
Stuff.
I've never had something that traumatic happen in my life, so hopefully my friends will show up in a cool way like that, but
they will.
They have not shown up that way in my life.
They will. I'm sure they will. They did for your dad passing away.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's it. Why did I not think of that? Oh my gosh, when my friends came to my dad's funeral, blew me away. I could not believe it. Those friends that showed up. Like, thank you for bringing that up, because that really is one of the.
I think you just kind of have it blocked for now.
Well, yeah, I don't really like access that time of my life too often, but yes, like when my friend showed up at my dad's funeral, they did not even know him. Like they had to drive hours to get there. Like one of them was someone I haven't seen in years, and he showed up and I was like, wow, like that was huge. That's huge. Cool. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Man, thank you, Andy, for being here today and hanging out with us. I love you. Is that weird?
I love you. Is that weird?
Yeah. I love you, and I love you as well.
Here we go.
All right, everybody. Justin, tell us how to keep watching the show.
Yes. Well, thanks for joining us.
Sorry, keep watching.
Thank you for joining us, whether it was auditorily or visually. We'd love for you to rate, review, subscribe, like all the things that you can do. Jennifer.
So bad at this. Andy's making me laugh. Keep going.
We'd love for you to rate, review, subscribe, like all the things you can do. Share this with somebody. That's really the best way to help us know that you like what's going on, is that you share with people and other people are joining us. If you're new, start working your way backwards. We've had a lot of great conversations. Just a heads up, we are looking at a name change coming up. So that's not going to change anything about how you get this show. So you shouldn't have to resubscribe or anything, but just so you know, we're dropping Dinner Party because we have not once had dinner on the show. And I was duped. I was duped into joining this show thinking I would get a meal every week.
We know how you like those meals.
Food next time I'm here.
Deal.
We'll all eat on the air.
People have been curious as to why there's never a dinner party.
We can all smack our
It's
food
more theoretical. Well, everybody, thanks for being with us today. We hope you've had an almost amazing time on the Almost Amazing Dinner Party.